Game with the Vikings broadcast team. Join the conversation on Vikings FANLine by calling 800-320-5326 using the TalkBack feature on the iHeartRadio app or by sending us a message on the KFAN social channels. Now it's your reaction to all the action. Vikings FANLine. Here's KFAN's Ron Johnson and Eric Nordquist.
24-7, the final primetime L for the Vikings at Lincoln Financial in Philadelphia. And before we get to your calls with Ron Johnson, I'm Eric Nordquist from 9 to noon. We're going to jump back to Philly. Lincoln Financial. Ben Lieber is with head coach Kevin O'Connell.
Hey, this is Ben Lieber down in the Vikings locker room with head coach Kevin O'Connell. And Coach, that's a really good football team out there. And you talked, all week about this team and how they're going to handle adversity and getting punched in the mouth. So what did you see out there from your team as far as, handling that adversity with a good football team?
Yeah, first and foremost, you got to give Philadelphia a lot of credit. I thought they had a really good game plan and did some things to kind of get out to a head start, get a lead on us. Unfortunately, we weren't able to convert a couple early third downs that really kind of allowed them to capture and sustain the momentum early on. But we talked a lot about dealing with adversity when it comes, and not one time did I feel anybody in really all three phases, really blink. It just ended up being something where, a good football team just played better than us today, and I didn't do enough to help our guys offensively. I got to do more. I got to coach better. I thought across the board, the effort was there. Our guys were, trying to get back in the game in the second half with the blocked field goal, the interception on the screen and giving us a couple short fields, and then we just could not sustain anything with, a couple turnovers of our own. And ultimately, put this one on me. Our guys will be ready to roll come this Sunday at US Bank Stadium, and we got a lot of work to do. And, I know one thing, I'll have our guys ready to roll.
Staying with the offense, this game it's about momentum, especially when you're on the road in a tough environment. But after the Patrick Peterson blocked field goal, you guys march down the field, you get the interception in the red zone. What did you see with Justin, the communication or the miscommunication with he and Kirk?
Yeah, I think, we got some inside leverage at the corner spot, and Kirk was kind of, seeing kind of single high coverage and kind of going to where the read should go. And I thought Slay just made a great break on the ball. Obviously we'll take a look at, the routes and how it declared itself, but Kirk's got ultimate trust in Justin, and over the course of 17 games, there's going to be some plays where, the DB guesses right and the ball may indeed go back the other way. But I've talked to Kirk a lot about being aggressive, especially when we target JJ. I thought defensively they had a good plan for him. We tried to get him a couple things going early on some of those third downs, when he was matched, and we just couldn't quite, give those guys a clean enough plan for them to just go play fast and execute, and that's 100% on me. I thought Kirk battled. I know the turnovers are going to be tough, but he's playing right down to the bitter end, competing. That's a good defense, a tough place to come play, but we'll respond from this. I got a lot of confidence in the guys in this locker room and knowing that put this one on me, but I'll lead this group back and we'll respond from this.
Now, looking at our defense and their offense, they came out, they went tempo, they kind of kept us on our heels a little bit. We knew that this read option is different. It's unique. It's kind of hard to prepare for. But they came out throwing the football, and Jalen looked really good throwing the football. What did they do throughout the game to kind of keep our defense off balance?
Yeah, they mixed it. I thought they had a good plan to run the football. They were physical up front, and right when we would get some early down momentum, there just seemed to be some third and long, either, a penalty here or a conversion there, and Jalen puts so much pressure on you when he breaks contain, on those kind of longer yardage situations where we just seem to be early on in the game, maybe that one play away. We talk a lot about trying to sustain and momentum, and if we don't have it, can we diffuse the momentum of the opponent? And that's any phase. And I thought special teams tried. We tried to get a couple things going and just could not quite finish offensively to give our team that little bit of juice to maybe go get a stop. And then momentum's a crazy thing. We saw it all around the league this week, but ultimately we just weren't able to capture it tonight, and got to give the Eagles a lot of credit for that.
Well, one big silver lining is you guys' special teams approach was nails. You guys' approach to mortar kick those kickoffs, to pin them back, worked, executed perfectly. Ryan Wright, I thought, was booming the ball. And then obviously with the block field goal, there at least is some silver lining in 3 phases of tonight's game.
Yeah, I think the special teams phase, we challenged those guys to have a good night, and they delivered across the board. Just couldn't quite kind of match their success in really either of the other 2 phases, although defense was on the field too much tonight, and we just didn't sustain enough offensively to play complementary football. Went against what we want to be as an offense, didn't run the football enough, couldn't really establish some early things that were giving us some different looks, but ultimately that's on me. We'll give our guys a clean cut, clear plan, and get back to how we want to move the football and allow our players to play fast, and that's on me, and we'll get that going as ASAP.
One personnel thing, we saw Caleb Evans get a lot of reps there in the second half. What went into that decision?
Yeah, I think it was just he's been having some success here and there, and when he's kind of gotten a little bit of time. I think with obviously Cam, Cam's still our starter, and I think there was just a moment there where the coaches thought there'd be a good chance to get Caleb some reps. He went in and competed and did some good things, so they allowed him to kind of keep that momentum going a little bit. But we'll as always, watch the tape and see where we can apply our personnel across the board on offense and defense to make sure that we're able to have a little bit better performance than we had, obviously, tonight.
Well, it's off to back home. Yeah. Going back home to Minnesota was a little bit of a short week. We get another division rival, a division opponent that's going to be a tough out as well. Just early signs. What do you see out of Detroit, and what's your approach this weekend as we go back to US Bank Stadium?
Yeah, it's going to be a real challenge. They're a team that's played really, really well. On offense early on this year, they're doing a lot of really good things there, and defensively, I got a lot of respect for their coaching staff and their personnel. They can put it all together. A tough run stopping group that has a real complex scheme on the back end. We're going to have to play well. Obviously, going back to US Bank Stadium on a somewhat short week, we're going to rely on our fans to be there for us like they were in that opener. We'll bring the energy, and I think we'll give our guys a good plan to get right back up on our feet where we want to be.
Well, Coach, we can't wait to see you guys get back into the friendly confines of US Bank Stadium and see how you guys respond and bounce back. Looking forward to it. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Ben.
That'll do it for me in the Vikings locker room. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Ben Lieber and Lincoln Financial. That's the head coach, Kevin O'Connell. This is Minnesota Vikings FANLine. Ron Johnson in the mix with me, Nordo. And let's jump on the phone lines, 800-320-5326 if you want to call. And, of course, the free iHeartRadio app. Use the talkback feature. Give us your best 30 seconds. No vulgarities, please. And even though you want to say a few after this one, let's jump on the phone lines here. Tyler in Austin, Texas. Welcome to Vikings FANLine.
Hey, thanks, boys. The obvious joke is to make a crack about Zimmer cackling while drinking his red wine in his lazy boy, but I can't imagine what Bud Grant must be going through tonight watching that pathetic defensive effort. But the main purpose of my call was to crack on just the stupid Cousins fans, but I mean, they're just too stupid to insult, so what's the bother?
Okay, well, I appreciate you sitting on hold to never actually get to your point. That's okay. That's all good. I guess that's what FANLine is for, and maybe in some cases why we prefer the talkback, so we can sift through it a bit more. But and as a matter of fact, let's hear our first talkback of the night.
KFAN, can we please talk about Kirk Cousins in prime time? You have a better chance of getting an autograph from Hulk Hogan at a karaoke bar than you do Kirk Cousins winning a primetime game.
Well, I you must be stacking those autographs, or at least you have two, because he has won a couple of Monday night games, I believe consecutively. They may have both been against the Chicago Bears, but they all count. We'll do this, and then we'll get to break. The 3 interceptions from Kirk, the stat was thrown around. It's the first time since 2020 we've seen that from him. It was an utterly awful performance. You might be able to put the first one on JJ with how he ran that route in the end zone, but all of the picks taking place in the red zone, 2 of them with points on the line. Darius Slay, just a freaking thief tonight. Unbelievable performance by him. Your thoughts on Kirk?
Yeah, it was bad. It was just bad. I mean, you can blame it on JJ. He should have crossed the DB's face. You don't ever stop running.
Yeah.
You know, even if you're going to run up his back, knock the ball down. I don't think he thought the ball was coming to him. You know, when he saw Darius Slay break up, he gave up a couple times on that fade route in the end zone. Same thing. He kind of ran the fade and just, you know, it didn't seem like a JJ night. It seemed like he was a little bit off.
Did you see Kirk maybe underthrow a few of those things? Because you had
a fade, though, that's what you want.
You had 6 yards between JJ and that back corner, and it never got to him because it went right to Slay. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but the argument is always, why don't you give a receiver a chance? You know, sometimes he throws it out the back of the end zone. He has to toe tap. He goes out of bounds, and everybody's like, man, just give him a chance. He's bigger. He's taller.
Okay.
He can take him. And so I think Kirk Cousins thinking under pressure, I'm just going to throw a jump ball fade. I'm going to give my guy a chance. But Justin Jefferson was running it more like running away fade, and you have to always press into the DB and then let Kirk lead you over. So it was almost like JJ ran the fade. Slay just played kind of off, like he wasn't really pressing on him. So if he doesn't press, you keep attacking his cushion until the ball's in the air. And so he should have just kept pushing at him and let Kirk throw it, and then it would have been on the outside left arm of him versus he runs a fade right away, never engaging with Slay. It just wasn't his night. Like it just, there was no communication. They both seem off. PA tweeted that JJ went and apologized to Kirk, whether he did or didn't, after that first interception. It just wasn't his night. Like Darius Slay, he had a lot of help behind him, so he was going to take those chances. And hopefully the Lions don't watch this film and figure it out. But I think at the end of the day, I didn't see a lot of shifts in motions on purpose. Like the Packers game seemed like they shifted and motioned on purpose to hide JJ. You didn't see that tonight. It didn't feel like they were hiding him. It felt like, you know what? We're really good. Let's just go play. It didn't feel like they were trying to out-scheme them. And that's what's a little bit concerning, is you can't do one thing one week and then get away from it because you're like, oh, well, they saw us do that now. We can't do that all the time anymore. Yeah, you can. Just do it and see what happens. See where the guys line up. Give Kirk, because he said, I didn't do enough to help the offense, which means he knows he probably should have done a little bit more of that stuff he did last week, putting JJ in a spot where, hey, you got to figure out where he is. He lined up in 6 different spots last week. I don't think he did it this week.
Kirk Cousins, 27 of 46 for 221, the 1 touchdown to Irv Smith. Irv is definitely a talker in some respects after tonight's game. 3 interceptions. The Vikings, by the way, 1 of 4 in the red zone. Just hideous. And that's why you get to a 24-7 scoreline. Vikings fall to 1-1. Nate, Mike, Blake, Jack, again, the talkbacks, free iHeartRadio app. Give us your opportunity here to be mad, be annoyed, and get it out of your system before you head back to real life on a Tuesday morning. It's Ron Johnson. I'm Nordo from 9 to noon. And this is FanLine. It's Minnesota Vikings football.
Ultimate tailgates? I thought we were going to watch the game.
No, I said come check out the ultimate tailgate on my Chevy Silverado. It's the available multi-flex tailgate.
Bob, this isn't a tailgate.
Sure it is. It flexes into 6 different configurations to help you work harder.
So you didn't invite me to an ultimate pregame tailgate then?
Would you have come if I said otherwise?
Probably not.
The Chevy Silverado with available multi-flex tailgate. The strongest, most advanced Silverado ever. Find new roads at your local Chevy dealer.
Every number tells a story. Each year, more than 200,000 patients put their trust in Twin Cities Orthopedics, and 99% would recommend TCO to family and friends. On average, every 75 seconds, someone turns to TCO, including the 53 Minnesota Vikings who rely on TCO's team physicians on the field. Their strength in numbers, and the numbers are undeniable. Learn more at tcomn.com.
Backed by popular demand, Hy-Vee drive-through flu shot clinics. Just follow the signs in your Hy-Vee parking lot to get your flu shot right from your car. It's easy, convenient, and no appointment or prescription is necessary. Drive-through flu shots are offered on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 3 to 7 p.m. Or get your flu shot inside your Hy-Vee pharmacy at any time with no appointment necessary. Plus, when you get your flu shot at Hy-Vee, you get a 20-cent Hy-Vee fuel saver. Some restrictions apply.
Welcome to the 4th Industrial Revolution, a revolution powered by data and applications, AI, and IoT. And now there's one company born to enable it, Lumen, the platform for next-generation business that combines adaptive networking, edge cloud, connected security, and collaboration. Lumen delivers the next-gen architecture that next-gen apps require. Say hello to Lumen, the platform for amazing things. Learn more at lumen.com.
That's the enemy over there. They're not your friends.
Welcome back. Minnesota Vikings fan line. 24-7 is the final. Your calls, 800-320-5326, 800-320-5326. But we are not done in Philly. Yes, we lost the game. We lost the game quite handily. But Tatum Everett, Vikings Entertainment Network, Vikings.com, is still doing work. And she is with linebacker Jordan Hicks.
In the locker room here with Jordan Hicks. Jordan, obviously, a lot of memories coming back to you against the Philly, or from your time here in Philly. It was a little emotional for you, and you didn't get off to the start you wanted. How are you guys able to rebound in the second half and pitch a shutout?
Yeah. Well, it's twofold. I don't think we did a good enough job the entire game getting off the field. We gave them a lot of plays, had them in third downs, just allowed them to continue to extend drives. And second half, we knew what their game plan was going to be, is lean on the run and, burn the clock as much as possible. I don't know. It just wasn't good enough.
Yeah, time of possession was a real killer there in the first half. What was not clicking for you guys? Was it communication? Was it a lapse in, the game plan, remembering what you needed to do?
Yeah, quite a bit of communication. We just got to execute. Things we talked about on the field, showed itself, and talked about in practice, showed itself on the field, and, we didn't execute the way we wanted to. A couple times, to give them credit, they made plays. Jalen was back there, putting the ball where it needed to go, and they did what needed to be done, and we didn't do enough.
What is something at practice that you guys work on that didn't translate today?
Between calls, between fits, different intricacies of the defense that are, specific for this team, right, that are part of this specific game plan that, through training camp we don't have to worry about, because this offense presents a completely different element in the run and in the pass, scrambling. So, there's a few things here and there, but we'll get them fixed.
Yeah, disappointing night, but now you have to forget about it. You got a short week. Lions are coming to US Bank Stadium, a division game. What kind of a statement do you think this could be for the team? I know it's hard to process right now, but you got to look ahead.
It's the NFL. You got to bounce back. The moment you have a night like this, you got to flush it and keep going. And that's part of the game. It's part of the process. We got a lot of leadership in this locker room, and all eyes are moving forward.
All right, thank you, Jordan. Appreciate your time.
Linebacker Jordan Hicks in the locker room after the 24-7 beatdown that the Eagles put on the Vikings. Jordan Hicks, the unique perspective. Several years ago, prior to his stop in Arizona, he was a Philadelphia Eagle. As a matter of fact, despite the fact that he was injured for a large part of the 2017 season, he has a ring as a member of the Philadelphia Eagles, but I don't want to talk about that right now. Let's get back to the phone lines. Ron Johnson is here. I'm Nordo from 9 to noon, and Nate in Apple Valley. Welcome to Vikings Fan Line.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Got you.
I just want to talk about how I think Irv Smith was the pivotal point of that game there. That drop touchdown, in my eyes, is a 14-point swing. You get that touchdown going into half, I think that's a different ball game. I've just heard all his career that he's going to be the next breakout guy. I haven't seen it. And then you got Twitter warrior Chris Boyd getting chased down by the punter, and then you throw a pick in the red zone that drive. I think that's a winnable game, which is really what I'm upset about here.
Hey, I appreciate it, Nate. And, Ron, we were talking about Irv during the break, and if we're just going to look at the pure statistics, he supplied the only touchdown of the day and 8 targets. So after getting out-snapped, I think, by Johnny Munt in week 1, it was double. I think it was 40 for Munt, 19-ish or something like that for Irv. It's like, what's up with Irv? Is Johnny just the guy? And we heard it throughout the week. A couple of people mentioned it, whether it was Wes Phillips and maybe it was Kevin O'Connell himself, that it's about packages and formations and just the scheme itself and where each of those guys fits in. Tonight they tried to fit him in with the 8 targets, second to only Justin Jefferson's 12, and he gets 5 for 36 in that touchdown. I can't disagree with that at all. That dropped pass is just brutal, unacceptable, and in the same vein of wondering what would have happened if Christian Watson walks in from 75 from Rodgers in that first offensive play for the Packers last week, I'm thinking about how that changes the complexion of this game. Irv Smith in that just brutal drop.
Yeah, and so he did hit his hands. He did try to bring it in, and it went off his stomach and to the ground. And I think, it might have, like the DB we know that jumped at the last minute, didn't touch it. Of course, people are like, oh, he got tipped a little bit. He didn't touch it. And it did mess with his concentration just a bit. But the other part of that is Irv Smith, the other third down plays you look at too, the drag route where he just was blanketed by a DB. And when you have a DB chasing you, you can't just run across the field because you're not faster. Then you look at a linebacker that's head up, man-to-man on you playing inside leverage. You have to attack his leverage, make him think you're trying to run an out route, forcing him back in. He's going to jump over you. Then you run your in route, and you have time. I mean, you watch the patient slant route of Rashad Bateman today, took it to the house. You look at the patient slant route by Stephon Diggs tonight. Couple touchdowns on his in-breaking routes. You got to watch Travis Kelce, Zach Ertz. You got to watch the guys that do those routes well. And Justin Jefferson, his own teammate does it really well. He's got to be able to get head up on his defender. You got to attack the guy, especially when you recognize right away it's man. That's why you see receivers and that receiver factory stuff of guys doing that shimmy slide step to get head up on the DB right away or whoever's covering them, press his leverage, fake him the opposite way you want to go, and then break to where you want to go. He didn't do that tonight. He looked he ran straight up the field, stuck his foot in the ground, tried to run an in route. You can't do that on the pro. These guys are just as good as you. You got to do the little things, and that just comes with time and practice. And when you're hurt and you're not able to do all this stuff, it probably has set him back a little bit. Like he hasn't been able to grow and continue to work in the offseason and work with guys because he's working with the trainers. And so, I think it's going to come with confidence, time, and just repetition. But tonight wasn't the night. They tried to get him in. Hopefully, they don't go away from him and he gets the same usage against Detroit because I think he's going to learn from him. He's going to watch film, learn from where he made the mistakes. His coaches are going to coach him up, and hopefully he'll be a lot better.
Yeah, he wasn't fresh tonight. 800-320-5326. Again, the KFAN Talkbacks, free iHeartRadio app. Throw your best 30 seconds together, and let's wash this 24-7 defeat away together. And we appreciate you listening. Ron Johnson's here. I'm Nordo. Hey, Kirk Cousins led the Vikings in rushing tonight. That's sweet. We will talk about more of that and take more of your calls. It's FANLine. It is Minnesota Vikings football.
In Minnesota, winning is everything. And on the road, that means Honda, America's most fuel-efficient, full-line automaker. And this year, Honda's made some exciting new lineup changes, starting with the all-new Honda HR-V. And coming soon, even more redesigned Honda SUVs. So don't wait. For attractive financing on Honda's all-star lineup, see your Greater Twin Cities Honda dealer to reserve or buy your Honda today. Based on EPA estimate of model year 2020 full-line automaker fleet-wide fuel economy. 2021 EPA Automotive Trends Report.
How would I describe Mr. Blake? Well, it usually starts with then a snack break with and some front row, then another round of, don't forget the reservation, followed by some luxe.
Room service.
So, Mystic tonight? Because it sounds like a win. Mystic Lake is a proud partner of the Minnesota Vikings. This season, join us for Thursday Night Lights, where you can win up to $1,000 Mystic Cash and a Minnesota Vikings prize pack.
All right, who's ready to go to soccer, huh?
Yes! It started as a normal Saturday, but then...
Oh no, sounds like the battery.
That's when their plans took a turn for the worse.
Ugh, I knew I should have had the battery checked.
Dad, look at the birds!
Those are vultures!
Don't let a bad battery turn your day into a B-rated horror film. Get your battery checked today. Need a new one? Reach for what works. A battery from FVP. Verified, proven.
Nothing beats being in the stands for live Minnesota Vikings football. From those nail-biting passes to pivotal plays to the game-winning touchdowns. You can be there for all the action this season. As the official ticket marketplace of the NFL, Ticketmaster has a wide selection of seats so you never miss a game. Score tickets today at Ticketmaster.com/Minnesota Vikings. Get your tickets today. That's Ticketmaster.com/Minnesota Vikings.
It's the all-new Minnesota Vikings channel on iHeartRadio. Vikes coverage all week long in the podcast section of the iHeartRadio app.
iHeartRadio. Jalen with Miles Sanders, who's quite good behind him on 3rd and 2. And it's a run-pass option. Hurts keeps it, and the Vikings have no idea. Heads to the right, 35-20. Make that 25-20, 15, spins inside the 5, and Jalen Hurts gets into the end zone for a 26-yard touchdown. Jalen Hurts headed right, and every member of the Vikings defense might as well have run to Delaware. There was nobody close to him.
KFAN, I'm a younger Vikings fan, but even I knew this one was coming. After typically a big game like that, the Vikings typically give it up, and they give it up bad in the next game.
Well, if you were that opinion, you got paid off tonight, my friend. And those listening, it's Minnesota Vikings FANLine, 24-7, the final. As part of the nearly 500 yards of offense accumulated by the Philadelphia Eagles, I'm Eric Nordquist, Ron Johnson with me. 333 came through the air from Jalen Hurts. Mm-hmm. Oh, he's a sub 60% completion guy. Well, he was 26 of 31 tonight. The flats were open all night. Everything was open all night. You heard that rushing touchdown there. And maybe the Vikings were in Delaware. Only 57 yards rushing, so thank goodness we limited Jalen on the ground. He did get in for 2 scores. 800-320-5326. 800-320-5326. Ron, let's just jump to the fan lines and let some people vent, shall we say. Starting with Mike in Illinois. What's going on? Welcome to Vikings FANLine.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, so I just want to talk about the secondary right now. It was pretty atrocious from a coverage standpoint. I want to just discuss how our defensive coordinator decided to not play more of a coverage kind of standpoint instead of a zone at the end there. We got destroyed in the zone, and we never man-to-man, and I think it was a terrible call. Just want to hear your guys' thoughts on it.
Appreciate it, Mike. Take care. And I want to lump this call in as well because the cornerbacks and the defense in particular seems to, for some odd reason, popular topic of conversation. Mm-hmm. Rochelle, welcome to Vikings FANLine.
Hey, guys. Same thing. I mean, the offense didn't look good, but let's focus on the defense and those cornerbacks. My big thing is a Caleb Evans replacing Cam Dantzler. I just want to know your thoughts on that one.
Hey, appreciate it, Rochelle. Have a great night. So on these corners, now from the Caleb Evans bit, you heard it, Kevin O'Connell in the postgame with Lieber mentioned that Caleb had done some nice things. They felt like it was a good spot. But we were also during the broadcast hearing whether it was from Lieber and some other people, they weren't sure, was he benched? That was kind of a question that was being posed. And the game by Dantzler in particular, Dantzler, he had a bad penalty after 2 great plays. I thought his open field tackling was good. I don't recall him being exposed any more so maybe than we were in the secondary in general. Your thoughts on the cornerbacks, what Mike was talking about, coverage, maybe, basically the adjustments defensively, Ron.
Yeah, so one, no, I don't think he was benched. The KLC sounds like he said they just wanted to give, it was 24-7, so they wanted to give Caleb Evans a chance. Like, let's see what he's done. He's done some good stuff in practice. You look at Andrew Booth Jr., he was hurt, so I think Andrew Booth Jr. probably would have played more if he was healthy tonight. But Caleb Evans has earned the right to get a chance to get on the field. You're going to need more corners down the road anyway when you start to see some of these teams they're about to face, like the Cardinals, who put 3 to 4 to 5 receivers on the field. You have to be able to get out there, and if Andrew, who knows how bad his injury is, if he's not, that quad, if he's not able to go.
I don't even know if Andrew Booth exists at this point because I was so excited for him to come in here and take a starting job.
Yep.
I think there's been a knee, there's been an ankle, and now there's a quad. it's been an awful 6-7 week stretch for him.
Yeah,
so.
Bad luck. You can't make the club in the tub. I mean, it's one of those things that the NFL is a brutal game. You know, by week 16, everybody's banged up. Ben Lieber, we always talk about that. Like, are you injured or are you hurt? Sounds dumb to say it out loud, but that's what people want to know. Are you just hurting or are you actually injured? Like, can you go or, are you really do we need to sit back and let you just rest up? And that's what he has to decide. Sometimes you got to play through injury. I mean, it sucks to say it that way, but this is a game where, every sport, baseball, you see that guys all the time. You see basketball, guys out there playing with bum hamstrings. So, sometimes you just got to get out there. It might hurt. It's going to be in pain, but you got to play through it if you really want to make this team and stay on this team long term. But this is what I'll say about the corners. Some of the glaring misses or the wide open stuff. It looked like there was a lot of just blown coverages, like the one dig route where the linebacker should have been there. They were in a zone. Linebacker chases the tight end out of the route. Like, why are you chasing and you're in the zone? So I think there was a lot of miscommunication there. And then you look at the deep ball where Bynum is sitting on they ran bunch. And when you go bunch nasty, you got to talk about levels. I got level 1, you got level 2. I'll take the flat. Looks like Bynum he thought he had the tight end for some reason, and he didn't. He had the deep third. So he's got to stay back. Like, that's your ball. That's your guy. And I don't know why Lewis Cine wasn't out there. So that's one of those things where they have to go back and watch the film and, look and see, were you guys talking to each other when they got into that bunch nasty split? Like, were you telling, hey, I got this. I'm flat. You got the blah, blah, you got 1. I got 2. If you're not having that conversation, that's going to happen every time. You saw it from the Ravens Dolphins game. They got beat a bunch by Tyreek Hill, and it wasn't just Tyreek Hill running by them. That was just guys in zone and not realizing how far I need to carry Tyreek Hill or who is actually back deep. Vikings got beat today by A.J. Brown.
There's ugly.
And Watkins. So
there's ugly, and then there's what we watched at Lincoln Financial in Philadelphia. Let's pause. When we return, whether it's Buck, Brandon, Jake, Sam, Blake, Jack, we have talkbacks in the hopper as well. I do want to continue this conversation regarding the defense. 24-7 is the final. Ron Johnson's here with the analysis. I'm Nordo from 9 to noon. I just push a couple of buttons and turn the light off when we leave. Thanks to Chad Abbott. When we return, your calls, fan line, 800-320-5326. Talkbacks on the free app. It's Minnesota Vikings Fan Line on KFAN and the Minnesota Vikings Radio Network, driven by Polaris.
Hey fans, Pilot Games has teamed up with the Minnesota Vikings to create the Vikings Victory electronic pull tab game. Play in more than 1,700 bars across the state and win up to $1,500 in the Skull bonus game. Pilot Games is the largest charitable gaming provider in the state. When you play Vikings Victory, your community wins. Play Vikings Victory today, anywhere Pilot's electronic pull tabs are offered. Visit pilotgames.com for more information.
Welcome to the fourth industrial revolution, a revolution powered by data and applications, AI, and IoT. And now there's one company born to enable it, Lumen, the platform for next-generation business that combines adaptive networking, edge cloud, connected security, and collaboration. Lumen delivers the next-gen architecture that next-gen apps require. Say hello to Lumen, the platform for amazing things. Learn more at lumen.com.
Life right now. Whew, I get it. But it's more important than ever to know what's going on in the world, especially here in Minnesota. Now, there's an easier way to stay informed with the Fox 9 News app. You can read and view stories, get push alerts, and watch any of our shows live. It's that easy. And we could all use a little easy right now. It's the official news app from Fox 9, your official home of the Minnesota Vikings. Go to your app store to download the Fox 9 News app today.
Hey, Vikings fans, when you stay at Omni Viking Lakes, you stay at the official hotel of your favorite team. We built this place just for real fans like yourself, even putting it right next to the practice facility. Walk in the hotel, and it's like walking into Vikings heaven. You've dreamt of a place like this, and now you can dream in a place like this. Score! So Vikings fans, when you're looking for a place to stay in the game at Omni Viking Lakes, the official hotel of the Minnesota Vikings.
Your station for Skull is FM 100.3 KFAN. The Fan.
Jalen with Miles Sanders, who's quite good behind him on 3rd and 2. And it's a run-pass option. Hurts keeps it, and the Vikings have no idea. Heads to the right, 35-20. Make that 25-20, 15, spins inside the 5, and Jalen Hurts gets into the end zone for a 26-yard touchdown. Jalen Hurts headed right, and every member of the Vikings defense might as well have run to Delaware.
In case you missed it last segment, there you go again. Brilliant line from PA as we watched a Monday night game go the wrong way in a freaking hurry. 24-7 is the final. Vikings now 1-1. This Philadelphia Eagles team, they're talented. They ran all over us to hell and back tonight, and they improved to 2-0. So Minnesota Vikings fan line 800-320-5326. And the talkbacks, of course, this is the final segment on the Vikings radio network. Will continue local on the flagship 100.3 FM The Fan, also the free iHeartRadio app as well. And speaking of the free iHeartRadio app, let's jump to the talkbacks. Jeff from Woodbury has something to say.
Hey guys, Jeff in Woodbury. I just wanted your input on maybe stacking the box, sending 5-6 guys every single play and let Hurt, try to beat us with his arm. I just thought the whole defensive plan was off tonight. Just want to know your thoughts.
Yeah, continuing on that conversation, thank you, Jeff. And defensively, whether it be adjustments, and it just, and you may have hit on something, Ron, the communication angle of it, and that's something maybe we can get into with the offense as well. You mentioned the lack of some of the motions, trickery, window dressing, however you want to put it. Some of the intentional parts of the offense that we're missing tonight. Is it different because they're on the road? But back to the defense, the lack of adjustments, we just kind of let them run over us. There was a helpless moment as a fan where I'm just sitting there, are you going to do something about this? Are you going to figure out the flats? Because Philly and Jalen worked all week on how to do those things. And other than the coverage breakdown that led to the Watkins touchdown, they weren't constantly pressing us to the borders. Right. They weren't going deep all night. Took a few shots, right. And you have A.J. Brown, so that's required. You must do that with A.J. Brown. But for the most part, they were getting us 6, 7, 8 yards at a time, and then the after catch, and it's just chain moving nightmares for this Vikings defense. And I felt at no point in the evening that there was any moment where I confidently said, okay, now I can see something that they have changed that makes this a more competent defensive operation. Is there anything you saw? What did you think about it?
Yeah, so, my takeaway, I have a video on on Twitter that I talked about earlier today for kind of the pregame show. I said, don't fall for the banana in the tailpipe. And that's what this offense does. With Jalen Hurts.
Is that a euphemism?
You don't remember Beverly Hills Cop? Eddie Murphy?
I do. Continue. Sorry.
So don't fall for the banana in the tailpipe. Like, don't look at what's in front of you, not understanding what's coming. So whenever they would motion a guy or they would have a fullback or a tight end go this way, he's always going to go the opposite way with his zone read. And so with the zone read, Patrick Jones did a great job. Like, when he was on, he was on. But the problem is, if you're going to crash and you're Patrick Jones, who's behind you? And PA said it. Everybody's going right. Jalen Hurts went left. Everybody went left. Jalen Hurts went right. You have to have a secondary guy following him on the crash, where a lot of people would call it the TE twist, where you got the tackle in the end twist. If you're going to have a end crash, you got to have a backer spill it. You got to have somebody out there to contain. I thought Brian Asamoah should be used, or Lewis Seen should be used in that, where you just spy the quarterback. This guy led the NFL in rushing, not Lamar Jackson. Jalen Hurts had almost 800 yards rushing last year. You can't just line up and think he's, Kirk Cousins or he's, Carson Wentz. Like, this guy can actually run and hurt you with his legs. And then he can hurt you with his arm. We saw his deep ball. He went to Oklahoma. He was at Alabama. Like, I don't care. Like, Tua is actually good too. You give him Mike Daniels, Tua looks all pro now. So I think sometimes we look at names and we look at the storylines and we're like, oh, this guy's not that good. Like, oh, they don't have a good quarterback. They have a great quarterback. And we didn't account for him. And then he beat you up in the first half. Second half, I don't know if they were actually attacking the way they did in the first half. But I think the biggest thing with that is, you're right. Once they hit you in the mouth, you got to start doing some other stuff. Whether you got to go back to the hybrid, because they talked about the hybrid 3-4 look where Danielle Hunter actually gets back down and Z gets into the A-gap or whatever, go to it. See what you get out of it. Like, you can't just keep lining up and letting these guys get 7, 8, 9, 10, 15 yards on you. That's not sustainable for the rest of the season if they continue to do it that way.
Yeah, it was a stubborn walk, a trot, if you will, into the loser's circle. 24-7, the final. At this point, we're going to let the Greater Minnesota Vikings Network go. And, of course, the next time you hear from us will be at 11 a.m. on Sunday as the Vikings, a very motivated bunch, hopefully, and the adjustments, now that the honeymoon period's over, we'll join you for the pregame in front of the Vikings hosting the Detroit Lions. Noon kickoff on your home for Vikings football, The Fan, at US Bank Stadium. In the meantime, you can continue to listen to Vikings FANLine at 100.3 FM The Fan, or use that free iHeart Radio app offering a talkback. You can also still call 800-320-5326, 800-320-5326 to Buck, Brandon, Dave, Sam, and Blake. We will also get to your calls. Thank you so much for listening to Vikings FANLine, 24-7, the final. It hurts, it sucks, and tomorrow we're going to wake up. Hopefully the sun's shining and we'll have a great Tuesday. This has been the Minnesota Vikings Radio Network, driven by Polaris.
When I started, it was just me and my tools. Now, while my team is out working, I'm running the business. Couldn't do it without Stacy from Choice Bank. Wouldn't have time to pick up the musical Saw either. She put together financing to fuel our growth and a new benefits package for our employees. Stacy saves me loads of money and time. Time I spend making sweet Saw music.
Choice Bank. We're committed to your business, your success, and to you. It's what we mean by people first banking. Go to bankwithchoice.com.
You've heard me talking about Hair Restoration Institute for years. I turned back the clock a decade on my hairline permanently, and you can do the same. I got the transplant. It painlessly moved my hair from the back of my head to the front. And Hair Restoration Institute has solutions for every hair challenge. I've said it for years. Get more hair, get more life with Hair Restoration Institute. Learn more by going to myhairlossclinic.com or call 612-588-HAIR. Again, that's myhairlossclinic.com or call 612-588-HAIR.
TV One Fun and M Health Fairview Masonic Children's Hospital are united with founder Braxton's mission to brighten the days of patients and their families. Let's cheer for Braxton's Buddy of the Week, Addison. Addison is a brave little girl who always has a smile even though life hasn't always been easy. Addison was born with the most serious form of spina bifida. She's had 21 surgeries in her 10 years, but her family is grateful for all the wonderful doctors at M Health Fairview Masonic Children's Hospital. Let's hear it for Addison. And learn how you can make a difference at tb1fun.org.
Hey, fans of the purple and gold, it's Paul Allen. And if you're sick of trying to tackle your deck maintenance, then rush over to TimberTech. TimberTech looks more like real wood than any other composite brand. And it's tough enough to handle even the harshest Minnesota weather. Want to lock up some protection too? TimberTech offers warranties that give you up to 50 years of coverage. So, if you're ready to build the perfect place to kick back at kickoff this season, visit TimberTech.com to get free samples. TimberTech, everything wood should be.
Football season means tailgating, touchdowns, and cheering for your favorite team. In Minnesota, there are nearly 100 local credit unions with over 300 branches for you to team up with to take your money further. Credit unions stand for community and trust. They keep any profits local and provide members better savings rates. Your teammates own a credit union, and that means you're all working for the same goals. More transparency, more trust will give you more personal financial wins. Visit MinnesotaCreditUnions.org to find your local credit union to take your money further.
Hey, Bob, thanks for inviting me to your ultimate tailgates.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
I thought we were gonna watch the game.
No, I said come check out the ultimate tailgate of my Chevy Silverado.
Huh.
It's the available multi-flex tailgate.
Bob, this isn't a tailgate.
Sure it is. It flexes into 6 different configurations to help you work harder. It folds into a desk if you need a workspace, or a step if you need to get into the bed of the truck. It even helps you haul along items. It really is the ultimate tailgate.
So, you didn't invite me to an ultimate pregame tailgate then?
Would you have come if I said otherwise?
Probably not.
But I bet you'll like this folding slow cooker holder I just made you.
Ah, you shouldn't have.
Chevy Silverado with available multi-flex tailgate. One more reason this is the strongest, most advanced Silverado ever. Find new roads at your local Chevy dealer.
FanLine on iHeartRadio and The Fan are presented by our broadcast partners. Minnesota Credit Union Network, Youngstedts, Carboni's Pizzeria, and by your local Chevy dealers. Join the conversation on Vikings FANLine by calling 800-320-5326 using the TalkBack feature on the iHeartRadio app or by sending us a message on the KFAN social channels. Now, continuing to take your calls, talkbacks, and social message, this is Vikings FANLine with Ron Johnson and KFAN's Eric Nordquist.
Hey, it's Vikings FANLine. 24-7 is the final. Monday Night Football. All of us so excited with bated breath for this thing to lift off at Lincoln Financial in Philadelphia. Slight favorites were the home team, the Philadelphia Eagles, and it was anything but slight as they put up nearly 500 yards of offense. Absolutely dominated this thing in time of possession, first downs. You pick a stat, they handled it. And the Vikings now 1-1 after the loss this evening. Ron Johnson, Gophers all-timer. You see him on Fox. You hear him with us on The Fan. He's with me, Nordo, from 9 to noon. And let's just jump right into the phone calls. 800-320-5326. 800-320-5326. Blake in Minneapolis. Welcome to Vikings FANLine.
Well, first off, thanks for having me. I'll just start out with, when is this garbage going to end? New head coach, new GM, exciting win in week 1. And the same Vikings in primetime games. I'm a young Vikings fan here at 21 years old, have been faithfully watching for probably 10 years, but it's like watching the same movie over and over again. I feel like I've watched the Vikings play in this game many, many times. I know it's one game, but obviously very frustrating and hard to stay optimistic after tonight's dumpster fire. So especially with, all the opportunities that we had all games that were not executed all around. So thanks for having me.
No, thank you. And, I hate to say it, Blake, but I'm 37, and I feel like I've been watching this team for more than a quarter century, and I feel like I've watched many, many, many more games like this than you. Ron, whether it's honeymoon period is over, players, I guess, so from the previous regime to now, it was kind of the idea that O'Connell and Kwesi coming in with a soft landing for a first-time head coach because there was existing talent and all of those things. And so, tonight I think can exist on its own, in its own vacuum for just a night, and now we'll get to see how the coach bounces back. But, with all of the miscues specifically and earlier handling defense, I do want to focus on the offense a bit as well. The miscues and all of those things, the learning curve for a new head coach who got punched early and couldn't punch back.
Yep.
That there's an element that I'm feeling from this game, seeing that tonight.
Yeah, the one thing I think the Vikings fans are used to is a run game, and that's what we haven't really seen. The Dalvin Cook 90 yards last week was real quiet. It was silent. It wasn't an explosive Dalvin Cook type night. You can go back last year and look at games where he did only have like 68 yards rushing. He did only have 40-something yards rushing, but then he would have those 200-yard rushing games, 119 dominating performances, and it just felt like there never was an opportunity to really get going in the run game. Like it was almost like we're going to try, and then, all right, like there's no way. 6 attempts for Dalvin Cook, to me, doesn't seem like enough. This was supposed to be a pass-first to run team, but then if the quick pass isn't working, what do you do next? Like if all the trickery isn't working, what do you do next? You can't just always show up and try to, think, okay, we're just going to run our plays. At some point, you got to find ways to go back to the Packers game, and I keep bringing that up because that's the only thing we have to look at, but motioning and shifting so that you can know exactly what coverage they're in and then figure out, okay, if I got JJ, because in the broadcast, you could hear him talk about it, if I got JJ one-on-one, I'm taking that shot. And and Kevin O'Connell said it might go back the other way, but take the shot and throw it earlier. Like the comeback with Justin Jefferson on Slay. Yeah, if he throws it a little bit earlier, maybe they do see the arm getting pulled. You can't wait for him to break out of his break for the ball. If you throw it now and put it on him, Slay doesn't have a chance to recover. He was stumbling trying to catch up to Justin Jefferson. Not being able to utilize the double move. So, yeah, there was no, like you said, there was no punch back. There was no, all right, let's do this. All right, let's go over the top with Jalen Reagor. I mean, that's the one guy they probably wouldn't have paid attention to running a deep route instead of Irv Smith. They're not going to keep an eye on Jalen Reagor. Let him go deep, fast, and see if he can take the top off, run Justin Jefferson on the deep over. I mean, I don't feel like there were any of that And maybe it was drawn up and Kirk never looked that way. I know there was a couple times Justin Jefferson was open and Kirk Cousins went opposite or dumped it off for no gain. So, yeah, I mean, again, you'll never know until we watch the All-22 and really break it down and get to the presser with Coach and he gets a chance to watch the film on a plane and all that crap. But, yeah, it just seemed like Mike Tyson says, everybody has a plan for me until I punch him in the mouth. And it seemed like he didn't have a plan for him.
Sounds painful. Buck in Pine City, welcome to Vikings FANLine.
Hey, thanks for taking my call, fellas. So, obviously, the momentum changed with the block punt, but Kirk had 2 interceptions, and we got the ball on the 10-yard line. How come we did not run the football? We have one of the best running backs in the league, and we tried to force it in there, and then we end up throwing another interception. Shout out to Pine City and Buck for mayor. Thank you.
Thanks, Buck. Kind of getting back to the run game, here's what the issue is, and it was an issue that the Vikings had last year, Ron. 3 and out. They get the touchdowns. 9 plays, 75 yards. We're back in this thing. Sky's the limit, baby. Then 3 and out. That is your first half. 5 of your 6 possessions, you were unable to move the chains. And that's the worrisome angle about getting JJ running. And to your point, when everything was working with JJ last week, why would you stop that? When he's 10 yards free on every route he's running, he's going to set franchise records.
Right.
Like he did with those receiving yards in the first half, got a career high 184. You love that. But the 3 and outs and the offensive lulls that we saw last year, at least for a night, occurred again. And it occurred because Kirk Cousins just looked off. I mean, just from the touch on the throws, he had some fantastic passes. There was one he dropped in a bucket, I think it was to Irv late when the game was out of reach. So we had moments like that, but whether it was eyeballing JJ and Thielen's wide open a ton tonight and gets no looks from number 8 to 2 of those 3 interceptions, I think Kirk played among the worst games he's played in a Vikings uniform.
Yeah. I mean, even like one of the and again, I can't see the back end angle when we see the end zone angle. This one, I don't remember exactly when, but Kirk Cousins was rolling out. I think he dumped it off to Irv or somebody on the sideline for like 2 or 3 yards. I felt like there was a lane.
When he had that opportunity to run.
Yeah, I felt like that was Jalen Hurts. He takes that for 10 yards.
And I think it was to Irv.
And so that's like little things like that. When I saw that, I'm like, why is he dumping it off to a guy that's covered? Like, just keep going. And if the linebacker then comes at you, then you dump it off last minute.
And you saw a moment later in the game, by the way, it was almost as if he was told. Like, he sat down with the surface. They're like, look what you did.
Right.
This was dumb.
And then he tries to run.
And then he openly tries to do it, almost forces the action later in the game.
And still doesn't get the first down, though. He gives himself up and nobody's there to hit him. It's like, just go. Keep going forward and just, go down once you pass. Like, that's just unaware of where you are on the field. That's just being scared to get hit. Like, Jalen Hurts ran like a guy that can squat 600 pounds.
There was
Kirk just wasn't there tonight.
No, and he's never really been an elite instinctual runner, and it's still, this is completely off topic, 2019 at Arrowhead, it's like 3rd and 8, and he can run for a freaking half mile, or let's say 10, 12 yards. He can move the sticks, and he just confidently slides 2 yards short of the sticks. It was just preposterous.
Yeah, you can't make that up, and that's why the people that always have his back, I get it, but hey, if you're going to have his back, you got to be on him too when it's not going well. And tonight wasn't his night. Week 1, great. Week 2, throw it away. And then week 3, let's see what happens with the Lions.
Brutal. One more call and then a pause. Many more to go. It's Brandon from Ivanhoe. Welcome to Vikings FANLine.
Hey, I just wanted to say, I didn't think we were going to go into Philly and really beat them. I mean, I expected to at least give them a game, which we hadn't done that obviously from the first kickoff. We controlled no part of that game. But I'm just curious, what, in your guys' opinion, what do you think of, if you're in O'Connell's shoes, what are you telling these guys at practice? What are you doing differently, trying to rally this team together, really bring the heat on Detroit, who's coming into our house, who almost beat Philly, did beat the Commanders, not the pushover we used to play in years past. What are you doing with these guys to really rally them, bring them together, and really take those important games, which also in this Detroit game suddenly became an important game? Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, have a good night, Brandon. Thank you. Yeah, Operation Bounce Back for KOC. What do you think the message is now that said honeymoon is over, Ron?
Yeah, I think it's the same message. Like, you're not going to have a Nickelodeon Player of the Week, this week. You're not going to get slimed and all that. So I think this is the thing. He's lost games before with the Rams. He's lost a lot of games with the Washington Commanders, formerly the Redskins, when he had Kirk Cousins back in 2017. So this is not new territory. He was a player, and so he lost a lot of games as a player. Like PJ Fleck said, if you don't fail, you never learn how to grow. And I think this was a good early, at least it's not the playoffs, and we're having this FANLine playoff and let's get ready for the draft. This is week 2. The Packers lost their first game last year and they rattled off 13 wins. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers first year with Tom Brady lost and everybody made fun of them and they won the Super Bowl. So it happens, but I think it's good that they lost early because now maybe they need to be knocked down a peg. I heard you talk about it, or heard Muss or somebody talk about maybe they were reading their press clippings, whether they were looking at Twitter and everybody was praising them. KOC is Coach of the Year. Justin Jefferson is the Triple Crown winner. Kirk Cousins is an MVP. Sometimes you need to be knocked down a peg in order to grow. And so they failed, and now it's time to move on and grow. Like, if you get knocked down, you got to get back up. And I think we're going to see their response. How do they handle this? Are we going to see tweets, from players on the plane? Are we going to see, fights in the locker room this week, or are they going to come together and say, look, man, we had a horrible game. We got to go out there and we got to be the aggressors. We got like the way Troy Dye played on that first, punt. That's how the defense should have been playing the whole game. And it was flashes of that. Like I said, I go back to Patrick Jones.
Wait a minute. They punted in the game?
Yeah. No, we punt. Oh, yeah. Yeah. But Troy Dye, the way he ran down on that first punt and, made a huge
100 miles
play,
an hour.
That's how the defense should have been playing. And it just felt like that was the only big time play. And then after that, it was big play Slay. It was his game the rest of the night.
He was just all over the place. Slay was incredible. Vikings FANLine, 800-320-5326, 800-320-5326. We have some talkbacks as well via the free iHeart Radio app. Ron Johnson's here. I'm Nordo. A couple more segments to go. Vikings FANLine. Thanks for listening to your home for Vikings football, The Fan.
The job market is competitive right now, so you need to be competitive to attract top talent. If you're trying to fill open positions at your business, iHeartMedia is here to help. Use radio and digital targeting to find fresh, passive candidates currently in the workforce. These candidates are listening right now, looking for new opportunities. Together, we can let the community know you're hiring. Visit iHeartAdvertising.com. That's iHeartAdvertising.com.
Hey, Bob, thanks for inviting me to your ultimate tailgate.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
I thought we were going to watch the game.
No, I said come check out the ultimate tailgate of my Chevy Silverado.
Huh.
It's the available multi-flex tailgate.
Bob, this isn't a tailgate.
Sure it is. It flexes into 6 different configurations to help you work harder. It folds into a desk if you need a workspace, or a step if you need to get into the bed of the truck. It even helps you haul long items. It really is the ultimate tailgate.
So, you didn't invite me to an ultimate pregame tailgate then?
Would you have come if I said otherwise?
Probably not.
But I bet you'll like this folding slow cooker holder I just made you.
Ah, you shouldn't have.
Chevy Silverado with available multi-flex tailgate. One more reason this is the strongest, most advanced Silverado ever. Find new roads at your local Chevy dealer.
At Evans, we know that defense and big stops wins you championships. But when it comes to logistics, moving forward is key. Ben Lieber here for my guys at Evans. If logistics were football, Evans would be an explosive offense, dropping dimes and hitting the gritty. Make Evans your favorite logistics team today. Evans will be your signal caller you can jump on their backs and ride to victory. Get ahead of the competition right now and have a great experience while you're at it. Visit evanstrans.com. Again, evanstrans.com.
Hey, it's Moss for the best pizza in town, Carboni's. Carboni's Pizza was voted best pizza in the Twin Cities, and I agree. They have the best crust, best homemade pizza sauce, and all your favorite toppings. My family absolutely loves that original crust. The kids like the cheese pizza, and Christy and I, we throw on a ton of toppings. Carboni's has more than just award-winning pizza, like hot hoagies, salads, buffalo wings, and always add cheesy bread. You'll thank me later. Over 30 locations across the Twin Cities and a handful in western Wisconsin. Carboni's.com.
Hey, Richard here from Wiper Mitsubishi with the deals that'll have you feeling good. Like new cars starting from just $16,000
$1,999 or $229 a month. Looking for a new SUV? The Outlander Sport starts at just $299 a month. Plus, when you finance or lease through us, get a $299 Visa gift card or free remote start. And drive away with peace of mind knowing you'll get a free lifetime powertrain warranty on any new or certified used vehicle. Visit us just 1 mile north of Highway 694 and Highway 61 in White Bear Lake, or shop online at whitebearmitsubishi.com. See the White Bear for details.
Attention all business owners who rent or lease space, including storage space. Stop wasting your money paying someone else for your space. You can now save a ton of money and own your own building with the incredible sale prices from General Steel. That's right, start saving money every month on renting space from others. Just call 877-31-STEEL to see how General Steel can help you save money. Our 50-year structural warranty buildings are custom designed for your needs and save you a ton of money. Call 877-31-STEEL.
Take it from a successful entrepreneur. If you need to expand or start a new business, you need General Steel.
Great team and the competitive pricing is the reason I went with General Steel.
Call 877-31-STEEL now, and you can get any of our popular quick construction structures, including a 40 by 60 foot building or a 50 by 100 clear span building, fast and easy. Call 877-31-STEEL. That's 877-317-8335. 877-31-STEEL.
You're listening to The Fan.
Hey, I absolutely love Justin Jefferson, but tonight it looked like Darius Slay was literally part of the offensive game plan. He knew exactly what JJ was doing and where he was going, and it didn't seem like JJ really had any way to combat that. What can Justin Jefferson learn from tonight and get better at so that he doesn't take a beating from a defensive back like this again?
Fair question via the free iHeartRadio app and the talkback feature. Hit that microphone, sound off, send it in, and we'll play it. Thanks for the question. JJ, what can he learn? Well, he can learn statistically that some weeks are tougher than others. 184 yards a week ago, 6 catches, 48 yards this evening. Ron Johnson in studio with me, Nordo from 9 to noon. We're also going to jump and rattle through some phone calls here as well. 24-7, the final. The Eagles beat the Vikings. You know, that was the halftime score of the 2017 NFC title game, but that's a different story.
But at least they didn't give up any more points.
There we go. See, there's a positive look in all of that. But JJ, there's no doubt about it. As we ended the last segment, I think he straight up got handled and outworked in a lot of ways by Darius Slay tonight. Was there anything you saw from JJ where, you know, whether it's taking the onus on that interception that Kirk Cousins threw near the end zone there to Slay, or just, dealing with adversity of a tough matchup and winning some one-on-one battles? Is there anything JJ can take away from tonight?
Yeah, him and Kirk Cousins just have to get on the same page. I don't think there's been a lot of opportunity where guys are hanging on them. You know, I think the early building of this offense was supposed to look like the Rams, and what we saw was a Cooper Kupp a lot of times being wide the heck open. But also Cooper Kupp came out of nowhere. You know, like last year when he started doing that, everybody's like, who is this kid? And then, then by the time they figured it out, it was too late. But let's not forget, Cooper Kupp did have a 5-catch, 64-yard game and a loss to Arizona. So there is room for one falter to still be the Triple Crown winner. Like, this is JJ's one falter. Other than that, Cooper Kupp had a bunch of 90-yard games. And then, of course, he had his 150, 130, 160.
Well, let me throw this out to you. How about this? Okay, so JJ, in my opinion, and he even mentioned in his postgame, he bleeped up on that pick that Kirk threw.
Yeah.
So whether his head wasn't in it in that moment, or just, again, the intuitive nature that you have to play with as the elite of the elite, nobody's perfect, and that was just happened to be a terrible place to be imperfect.
Right.
However, when you have a Cooper Kupp, and all those stats are pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Don't forget why they went out and got Odell Beckham Jr.
Correct.
Don't forget why they had Robert Woods.
Yep.
Don't forget how they used Van Jefferson in cool and unique ways. Don't forget the wheel routes to Darrell Henderson. The statistics, and as open as Adam Thielen has been in both of these games, and the lack of attention and looks, that, in my opinion, could be hindering, or at least, again, one night we're microanalyzing one single game, when you are just so locked into JJ and you are not providing an outlet with another secondary big-timer.
Correct.
That creates problems for JJ. So there are certainly, I'm sure, things he can learn, but we need to get a secondary hardcore receiving option available and in use. And it just happens to be we have one, a highly compensated one by the name of Adam Thielen, who, other than later in the game, once things were almost thoroughly out of hand, Thielen wasn't getting a sniff.
Yeah, and you hit the nail on the head. He has to be able to read it. So don't just stare at JJ, come back. Like the Packers game, it looked like he was reading his progressions. I love watching Justin Herbert's eyes. Like it feels like he's reading the entire field before he makes his decision. Joe Burrow, same thing. What's his name? Aaron Rodgers. It just felt like tonight Kirk Cousins was kind of like nervous about the rush because the Eagles were coming. Like they were sending jailhouse blitzes, and there was one that the last drive of blitzes where he threw the pick almost both times and then finally threw one. You could see the blitz coming, so I don't know why he didn't fake go, like, do the Tom Brady and get them to jump and so then he can see like, okay, talk. Okay, if this guy comes, I need you to do this. If this guy comes, you got this. This is your route. Like, you didn't see that. You kind of saw him line up like, oh, crap, these guys might blitz. Hopefully Justin Jefferson knows he has a fade. Like, tell him. I don't care if you know he's running a fade. Hey, Justin, whatever the signal is, here's what it is. Be ready for this. I'm throwing a back shoulder. He could have back shouldered the crap out of that one. And honestly, and this is what I'll take from that, I feel like Justin Jefferson, and you'd have to ask him, I think he was thinking back shoulder because there's no reason to release that far away from a DB playing off unless you think Kirk Cousins will just stick it to the side of the sideline and put it to the corner. And Kirk is like, man, these guys are coming. I'm just going to throw it up. They were not on the same page. It felt like Justin was waiting for a back shoulder the way he ran that. And now that I think about it, I bet that's what he was doing. And Kirk threw a regular normal fade like he had Randy Moss. So again, that's them not being on the same page. That's not Kirk taking the time to talk to him. He had time on the play clock. He didn't have to snap it right then. It just, the whole production just felt a little bit off. So I think that was the biggest takeaway from that.
I love, code words, complimentary football, whether it's getting Thielen involved. If I can actually get NFL Game Pass to work, I look forward to looking and seeing how often Thielen and some of these other options were open.
Yeah.
As cerebral, quote unquote, as Kirk is considered, he was eyeballing the bleep out of JJ the entire game.
Yeah.
And that feels like something, as well as getting the run in the mix. Something that needs to be different moving forward. Let's just hop on the phone lines, rattle through some of these here. David in Boise, welcome to Vikings FANLine.
Hey, good evening.
Hi.
One question I had is, where was the offensive line? You could have the best quarterback in history, but without an offensive line, he isn't going to be able to throw anything. And I felt like our offensive line the airplane had a stopover in Altoona, and they forgot to get back on the airplane. I would like to give a shout out to the defense and point out, it's been alluded to, but I would like to point out that while the 24-7 final score is less than optimal, the score was also 24-7 at halftime, and whatever changes they made at halftime, they held Philadelphia to 0 points in the second half.
I appreciate it, David. Absolutely.
This is what I'll say to that, though. I think the offensive line was fine. I think there was times where Kirk could have helped them out and maybe gave a fake go to give the defense a chance to show you what they're going to do. But at the end of the day, if you have 5 blockers and you have 7 rushers, you don't have a chance. You have to get rid of the ball. You have man coverage now. Find the guy and just go to it now. Throw a smoke screen. I mean,
so I only saw 2 of the 3 picks because one I was walking back from the bathroom. Both the 2 that I saw, however, guess who wasn't immediately about to be sacked?
Kirk
Guess
Cousins.
who had time to make a throw and made the wrong throw?
Kirk Cousins.
So the offensive line.
He was only sacked twice, and one of them, he had no pocket presence. That strip sack, he stood right. Like, all he had to do was take 2 steps backwards. We make fun of Jameis Winston and all his workout videos.
Yeah.
But maybe Kirk needs to work out with Jameis Winston because it's stupid as hell. But he does have the ball, and then when you feel a guy coming in front of you, just back up 2 steps. You still got time. And Kirk just stood like his feet were in cement and let Cox knock the ball out of his hand.
Yeah, and it's the same thing. I mean, we've seen Kirk do it before too, where he needs to take 2 steps forward.
Yeah.
Where the tackles are fanning around and they create that hole. and they're doing all they can just to stay alive. And all you got to do, Kirk, just help them out.
Kirk needs to listen to the cha-cha slide.
Or take
2 steps this time.
Let's get a little nitty-gritty dirt band going here, and let's go fishing in the dark. Show them what that electric slide looks like.
Slide to the right. Crisscross. Yeah, I mean, he's got to move. He stood there and let Cox knock the ball out of his hand. Like, you got to move. It's almost like he's in front of you. It's not like he's stripped from behind.
Yeah.
How do you not feel 2 big fat dudes right in front of you? Like, move.
I think they'd be hard to miss.
Like Ludacris said, when I move, you move. Like, when they're moving,
just like that,
you move. Exactly.
Sam in Waseca, welcome to Vikings FANLine.
Oofda. A lot of blame to go around, man. That was offense was rough. A lot of missed throws, a lot of picks, a lot of near picks. Dalvin Cook didn't do anything. A lot of blame to go around, but honestly, I think it all came from the vibe that the defense set, and it wasn't good. Everybody looked like they were on their heels, especially in the first half, and we needed some juice out there. Nobody brought the juice, and I think Ron said it before, but I don't know why we didn't see Lewis Cine at some point, even for a few snaps, because I wanted to see somebody out there looking to take some heads off, bring some energy, and that's what you draft him for. So that's what I want to know.
Yeah,
where's Lewis Cine, and why don't we bring him in, bring some energy?
I appreciate it, Sam. The one thing I'll say about Lewis Cine, though, is not as severe as Andrew Booth. However, he's had trouble getting on the field. He had an opportunity to win a safety spot. He did not. And so, what that morphs into in the long term, if he can be a third safety on the field, he can play in certain packages, expanding his breadth of knowledge of this defense and just being able to do multiple things on the field. That's one thing. We couldn't even get him active last week from a health-related situation. So, he got in at the end, but I guess I don't know what the expectations were maybe for others. I never anticipated that he would do more maybe than have a few snaps defensively. I'd anticipated that being that the scoreline was the other way.
Right.
But so that didn't go right. But I thought special teams was going to be his focus. Let's wrap this up, Ron. We're going to do one more segment, get through a few phone calls here, and maybe a couple of talkbacks. And then we're going to also do our local Chevy dealers drive of the game. There was one scoring drive. I'll give you one hint how that's going to play out around the corner. It's Vikings FANLine, 800-320-5326, 800-320-5326, free iHeartRadio app. It's Vikings FANLine. Ron Johnson, I'm Nordo. You're listening to The Fan.
612, The Bird. Now you can say, I got a guy when you have an electrical problem or a home project. Early Bird Electric is the troubleshooting expert, and they love old homes. For home rewires, remodeling projects, and emergency service, you can trust Early Bird because of their unmatched service guarantees. And yes, Early Bird offers same-day service and 24/7 emergency service. 612, The Bird. Mention KFAN and your trip charge is free with repair purchase. 612, The Bird. Or visit 612thebird.com.
Dan Hans is here, host of the Around the NFL podcast, and now the NFL Power Rankings podcast. Each Tuesday on NFL.com, my Power Rankings column drops ranking every team. But is that enough? Not for me. I need more. So my friend Colleen Wolfe will join me on the Power Rankings podcast as I defend my rankings and break down why teams are ranked where they are. Catch a new episode of the Power Rankings podcast every Tuesday on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
My name is Chase Terwilliger, a Minnesota native and the CEO of CB Distillery. The law states that up to 5 milligrams are now available to sell to consumers 21 and older. CBDistillery.com. Use MN15 for 15% off through the end of this month.
Hey, it's Nordo, and if you're like me, you snore loudly at night and you need caffeine in the morning like you need air to breathe. It could be obstructive sleep apnea. Most cases go undiagnosed, partly because of what it takes to get diagnosed. Appointments, lab studies, more appointments, waiting. That's where Gem Sleep comes in. Gem Sleep is an online one-stop shop for diagnosis, treatment, and support for sleep apnea. In 1 week, I went from nothing to getting an at-home study and a plan to fix it. Serving Minnesota and Wisconsin, go to mygemsleep.com/Nordo, mygemsleep.com/Nordo to start the path to better sleep.
Did you know audio memory lasts 6 times longer than visual memory? That's why businesses advertise with iHeartMedia, the #1 audio company in the country. Reach consumers with radio, podcasting, streaming, and more. Make your business a household name and visit iHeartAdvertising.com or call 844-BUY-RADIO. Grow your reach, grow your business. Call iHeartMedia today. Visit iHeartAdvertising.com or call 844-BUY-RADIO.
2 weekends left of huzzah and cheers at the Minnesota Renaissance Festival. Hilarious entertainment, fantastic food and drink, plus superb shopping. But only for 2 more weekends. Discount tickets and more at RenaissanceFest.com.
Football season means tailgating, touchdowns, and cheering for your favorite team. In Minnesota, there are nearly 100 local credit unions with over 300 branches for you to team up with to take your money further. Credit unions stand for community and trust. They keep any profits local and provide members better savings rates. Your teammates own a credit union, and that means you're all working for the same goals. More transparency, more trust will give you more personal financial wins. Visit MinnesotaCreditUnions.org to find your local credit union to take your money further.
At Evans, we know that defense and big stops wins you championships. But when it comes to logistics, moving forward is key. Ben Lieber here from my guys at Evans. If logistics were football, Evans would be an explosive offense, dropping dimes and hitting the gritty. Make Evans your favorite logistics team today. Evans will be your signal caller you can jump on their backs and ride to victory. Get ahead of the competition right now and have a great experience while you're at it. Visit evanstrans.com. Again, evanstrans.com.
When I started, it was just me and my tools. Now, while my team is out working, I'm running the business. Couldn't do it without Stacy from Choice Bank. Wouldn't have time to pick up the musical Saw either. She put together financing to fuel our growth and a new benefits package for our employees. Stacy saves me loads of money and time. Time I spend making sweet Saw music.
Choice Bank. We're committed to your business, your success, and to you. It's what we mean by people first banking. Go to bankwithchoice.com.
The Fan.
41-yard try or right hash. Lovato snap is good. Yes! Punter, and it's blocked. It's bouncing about, picked up at the 42. Here come the Vikings, surging into Eagles territory. And Chris Boyd is the one to pick it up and get all the way down to the Eagles' 30-yard line. And the field goal was blocked by Patrick Peterson. Patrick Peterson, the veteran, let's go.
One of our better plays of the evening. It did result in an interception. That was unfortunate. But Chris Boyd could not run the holder. That part was not very enjoyable to watch, as was most of the game. 24-7, final segment of Vikings FANLine. Vikings fall to 1-1 in the season. It's very early. We do have to remind ourselves, I suppose, that it is week 2. It is time, as we wrap up Vikings FANLine, for the local Chevy dealers' drive of the game. It culminated in this.
Osborne and J.J. left, first and goal, play action. Kirk rolls out to the right, throws right, caught. Touchdown, Vikings! Irv Smith Jr. with his first touchdown since Christmas Day of 2020 has cut into this Eagles margin. It's 14-6.
That was a 9-play, 75-yard drive, 5 minutes off the clock for possession. That was 5 of their 23 total minutes of possession. And as you heard that, Irv Smith, his first touchdown reception since Sean Payton and the Saints, put 50-plus points on them. 6 touchdowns by Alvin Kamara, Christmas Day a couple of years ago. Why is it that I only remember the brutal moments in my favorite team's history? 800-320-5326. 800-320-5326. Local Chevy dealers drive of the game. Thank you so much to those folks. And let's jump on the phone lines for just a few big opinions before we close. And now the system isn't working. That must mean we're about done for the evening. Riley in North Dakota, welcome to Vikings FANLine.
Hello?
Hi, Riley.
Hey, no, just a few things. I'm sick of hearing about this shell of a defense here. You can't have your safeties 15 yards and your cornerbacks 10 yards off the line. I mean, Harrison Smith needs to be in the box, I think. And what I liked about Zimmer's defense, I thought that with the new 3-4 defense, I thought they would turn up the heat a little bit and try to get after the quarterback, but they just sit back and it seems like it's in the prevent defense. Cousins had a terrible game, but they'd really never established a run game at all with Cook. So that's really all I got to say.
Appreciate it, Riley. Everything sucked, and have a great night. Let's move on. Sean in Eden Prairie, welcome to Vikings FANLine.
Hey, how we doing, guys?
Good, how are you?
All right. I feel like we were totally outcoached tonight. You got guys running wide open all game long. Like, nobody's ever close on the defense. And then every time we ran a play on offense, it seemed like it was nothing but Eagles around us.
Appreciate it, Sean. Can't disagree with that. I saw something, Ron, on Twitter. It's being thrown out, Next Gen Stats, and a lot of people are tweeting it out, that on the average, I guess the average average distance of separation between Jalen Hurts' targets, their wide receivers and our defenders, was like 4.2 yards. And so it's kind of hard to defend over the course of a game. That is his average over the course of his 31 targets, which means guys were open all night long. And that led to, of course, 333 yards for Jalen Hurts. And we're all shocked that he had that in him. Brandon in Isanti, welcome to Vikings FANLine.
Yo, Nordo, Ron, fellas.
Hey.
The run game was absolutely atrocious tonight. It really was. We had Dalvin Cook the first game against Green Bay. It was 20 attempts for 90 yards. Tonight it was 6 for 17. And they say, this guy, every time he touches the ball, it could be a home run. And if that's the case, if he's an elite back in this league, you have to give him the ball more than 6 times. You just do. I think that opens up so much. The play action, freeze those linebackers, get guys in behind them. KJ Osborne's been putting in weight. He beefed up. That's supposed to be his zone. Open up the middle of the field. Just want to get your guys' thoughts on that, on a game plan moving forward. Thanks a lot, fellas.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Brandon. And that'll actually be our final call for FANLine tonight. And just, looking at that, coming out of the half. And I still, and maybe I'm wrong on this, Ron, I think all the 3 and outs and the lack of game flow in the first half led to the lack of run game. Because there is an element of the setup, there is an element of rhythm that goes along with that. Get it in the man's hands several times over the course of a drive, and now we can get that train moving a bit. But when you get out to the deficit that you have, you open up the second half with that 9-play drive and you throw that pick. I mean, you get 14 yards on the short pass to Cook. You get the 6-yard runs. We immediately started seeing it. We started to see the tide change. Kirk was at the line. He was trying to move a couple of things around. And then you got that pick, and then it was almost like it was lights out. Okay, back to we're just going to throw it every time and try to make it work. This offense, again, complementary football moving forward, and we got a chance against the Lions on Sunday. Adam Thielen needs more targets, and Dalvin Cook, there's just no doubt about it, needs a bunch of touches on Sunday.
Yeah, if I were to tell you that Kirk Cousins would have 2 carries and he would lead the Vikings in rushing, there's no way anybody would take that bet, or everybody actually would take that bet. If I were to say, I bet you Kirk Cousins will lead the team in rushing with only 2 carries, everybody would take that bet with Dalvin Cook. The caller was right. You got to find a better way to run the ball. You got to get a little bit more creative. Did C.J. Helm even play, or was he inactive? I forgot to look at the inactives today.
He was not inactive.
So he played.
He was on the field.
But he didn't they didn't use him. So my thought is, even in the run game, the Eagles hit you in the mouth. You have to, if you're going to run play action, you got to run the ball first. Like, you can't run play action without running the ball, and you have one of the most dynamic backs. And if you're not getting it up the gut, run outside. Like, run the zone reads that we saw last year. Everybody knows how to run the zone read. It's not like it's special to one coach. You just block the guys in your area versus I'm going to man block on running and let Dalvin Cook pick his space and pick his spots. Send everybody on a go route if you know it's man and dump it off to Dalvin Cook in the flat. It seemed like every throw to Dalvin Cook was late. It was a second thought. It was just a dump off versus a a scheduled pass. Hey, this is going to Dalvin Cook. I need everybody to run a go or run an over, do a bunch of motion shifts, run some crisscross, make them think we're really doing something deep, and then just dump it off to Dalvin Cook really quick. Run a toss. Get Dalvin Cook on the edge. We didn't do any of that. It was just run it up the middle. Let's see what we can get. And they got nothing. And then they moved on and they said, well, let's just try to pass. And then Kirk Cousins throws 3 interceptions. I mean, this is not how you win. But again, Adam Thielen can't go through 3 quarters without getting the ball. That's another. I mean, there's a lot of things you can nitpick about it. But at the end of the day, wasn't enough to win.
It wasn't enough, and the honeymoon is over. Thanks so much to those that contributed to Vikings FANLine. Thank you, of course, to Ron, to Max Fuller, Chad Abbott, elite production from Abbott early on in FANLine. And thanks to Tatum Everett, Ben Lieber doing the interviews at Lincoln Financial. The Minnesota Vikings fall 24-7 to the Philly Eagles. They are now 1-1 in the season. Next time you hear from us, right here on your flagship home for Vikings football, 100.3 FM, 10 a.m. Sunday, you will hear the pregame. 11 a.m., Vikings Radio Network, and then shortly after noon, the boom, as we call it, Vikings hosting the Detroit Lions. Thank you all. Of course, all of this is podcastable via the free iHeartRadio app, the exclusive Vikings channel, and more reaction, big opinions, starting with the Power Trip at 5:30. Of course, 9 to noon. PA's back in the mix when he returns from Philly. Reef Hassan will be in. Tons of calls, a montage, big opinions, all of that. We got it figured out, and we're going to mourn together. Everybody, in the meantime, have a great night. This is The Fan. See ya.
Hey, Bob. Thanks for inviting me to your ultimate tailgate.